The cards in one stack form the centerpiece of each Yu-Gi-Oh! Player's collection. But what about the bulk left in boxes as well as tins without a real place and or purpose? And what if I built a deck with only those cards? I'll try to build a deck out of whatever bulk I can find and try to improve it from episode to episode based on the experiences I had dueling with it online or with potential upgrades I will have to earn. Get ready to sleeve up those late Megaton commons or structure deck leftovers, because this is bulk only Yu-Gi-Oh! As a wise man once said, every journey has to start somewhere. And if you understood that reference, you've been on Yu-Gi-Oh! YouTube for a good bit. But hello and welcome everyone, it is me, the lover, Awesomeness Power, to do this back for you with something new. The three items in front of me are, I think, not very indicative, but if you watched the video I released last week, this will be kind of a testing ground for a series where I build a deck out of bulk Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, take that deck into an online simulator, and just see how much we can do with a deck built out of random commons and just, you know, leftover cards from products I have opened in the past. I think I'll start with this one because I know in this one I have a baseline of what we will be building for this episode. And the first card here is already looking very promising. Apprentice Magician. This is a throwback for like a lot of older players, I guess. A very solid recruiter with a very strong search pool back in the day, able to grab a powerful flip effect monster such as Magician of Faith. And I think we will be forming something around a couple of spellcasters, and I think with a solid recruiter like Apprentice Magician at our disposal, we are looking very good. I think I'll put one Magician of Faith up there. This is a card I was looking for. Magical Dimension, by the way. I will definitely be trying to make this into a regular thing if you guys like this sort of stuff. And depending on how things go, in terms of like, you know, game wins, match wins, I will be able to possibly put a couple upgrades into the deck. I'll see how I maybe balance that so I don't just like, you know, stack a bunch of like cracked staples into one deck. This will be, of course, a bit janky, and that's kind of the point of it. This is looking promising. I saw a Fisher in there. As a really fucked 1-for-1, I guess. Yeah, some of these cards are like by now over a decade old and have seen play in mostly my school time. So like, yeah, sleeves were a distant dream. Yo, Crab-ons! Do we? I'll unironically put out this Crab-ons. Mainly this guy, Dimension Conjurer. Because if this guy hits the board, we can add a copy of Magical Dimension from our deck or graveyard to our hand. Honestly speaking, for this Dinomorphia shell might be pretty decent. Oh, this might be pretty decent. There's like another pretty decent card in the back here in the later stages of the set. Not those vanillas, no, Smoke Mosquito. This is actually a pretty sick card. With that, we are through Battle of Chaos, and I honestly do not feel terrible about the, I guess, selection we currently have in front of us. I think it could be much worse. It's not good, but it could be much worse. Yeah, there's definitely stuff in here. This would be a generic link to make, I guess. The Honorable Morphtronic, the Gizmag Naganaki. Materiactor, Gigadra, and Gigaboros are like decently interesting, I think. We're definitely playing Asia Rune. Asia Rune is crazy. This might be decent. Diamond Bell is also playable, I guess. This would be a good instant fusion target. But this here Chaos Sork is a card. Foolish Burial is also a card. A Birdman. So like... Okay, maybe we need to go back into the Because, like, this, I think it's Sorcière de Fleur. Yes, it's got the French name. Haha. It's got the French name. This is a decently big spellcaster that we could special off of Magical Dimension. That is not good, because multiple copies of her would be very lovely right now. Because she's actually, like, half decent for the purposes of this. 2,900 on a spellcaster is like, yeah, you know, we take that. There's a Stardust Assault Warrior here. Wait a moment. Wait a moment. Assault Warrior, Rush Warrior, Mariamne the True Draco Phoenix, Quilpan Goldos, Fleur Synchron, Noble Knight Joan. Yes! Yes! We found 2 more copies! And Liberty at last is also pretty decent, right? Honestly, you know, looking through like this right now, I'm feeling even better about this one. Like, I definitely knew roughly what I was going for. I had like a couple ideas and conceptualization before like I kind of went over a couple things with a few friends for this bit. Again, you know, huge thanks to Jaden and Dyer for their input on this. I think I'll probably be a lot more clueless if I didn't talk to you guys about this. But looking at what we have in front of us and what like a lot of these cards do, I'm not feeling too terrible about this. Yeah, I think I'll quickly try to organize this a bit, and then I'll, I guess, get to the deck building part. So I will probably see you guys then. And with that, I think this is a good as ever time to quickly run over the deck and see what we're bringing to the first episode. Starting off with 3 copies of Sorcière de Fleur, just the main big spellcaster we're trying to stick off of Magical Dimension. Adding up to that, we have a Necro Fleur. Hopefully this can float into one of the Sorcières de Fleur. Otherwise, we might cut this in a future episode. And Endymion, the Master Magician, just another big spellcaster with a good spot removal effect, honestly. 3 copies of Apprentice Magician, good recruiter, trying to max out on those. For the targets, we're playing a Magician of Faith, a Magical Undertaker, and a Frequency Magician. Hopefully these 3 all individually put in some work that will, of course, be highly appreciated. 3 copies of Dimension Conjurer or Magical Dimension Searcher. Pretty sick card, honestly, looking at it, as it's also able to mulligan our hand. Maybe get us out of some pretty situations. Sample the Summoner to enable some rank 2 plays. Quick Draw Synchrons to enable our Chevalier de Fleur we have in the extra. A GeneX Ally Birdman as another great tuner we funnily enough found. 2 copies of Leaf Plays. Good level 3 body that is also able to recur itself potentially, which is rather nice. And then capping off the monster lineup are 3 Smoke Mosquito. Hopefully the Battle Fader effect keeps us alive, and we are able to make some plays with the level modulation. And then we're playing 2 Magical Dimension. Good spot removal that also puts a big spellcaster on the board if we have it. For the power 1-offs, playing a 1-for-1, a Foolish Burial, and a Instant Fusion. Really sick cards that all do a lot for the deck. 2 creature swaps for some sword removal. We'll just see how it goes, honestly. A copy of Angel Statue, Asia Rune, and a compulsory evacuation device for some more interruption. 2 Imprudent Intrusion, either revival or quick effect removal. Pretty decent card, we'll see how it performs. 2 copies of Magician's Circle to pull some spellcasters out of the deck if one of our spellcasters attacks. And 3 copies of Liberty at last. Hopefully this is able to shuffle back some big monsters and simplify a game state that we can hopefully win out on. Playing a Windwitch Diamond Bell, probably the best synchro with the most applications we have in our extra. A Zoror, the Conflagrant Magistus Catastrophe. A Chevalier de Fleur and Maple Maiden, a Stardust Charge Warrior, and a Chambara. Hopefully these 2 help us close out a game. Then we have 3 copies of Onibimaru Soul Sweeper. Decent spot removal on a rank 2, honestly. The Material Reactor Gigaboros, a Tornado Dragon, and an Assembled Nightingale. And then for the links, we have a Steel Star Regulator, a Shinobi Insect Hugger Kurimino that, funnily enough, even has targets in the Smoke Mosquitoes that we're playing, and our Instant Fusion target in the level 4 Magic-y Beast Tuner. But I think, yeah, with all that out of the way, let's grab this deck, box it up, and take this into the virtual space. Alright, and with the deck now fully digitalized, I guess we can, yeah, look into getting into some games. Impressive. That's like a good question. Do we want to go first or go second? I think we want to go first, just to get like hopefully an uninterrupted turn, I guess. This doesn't look too shabby, I guess. We can set 3 and pass. It's 2005 again. It's gonna be like a big question of what our opponent is up to, though. And next turn that Leaf plays should be live, so that's nice. Albion, so it's branded. Okay. Yeah, I guess branded is doable, you know? Although I think we need to go to always chain so we can bounce the Lubellion. Right. Goes Tragedy. From the extra, except Lubellion. Okay. I mean, branded, to be fair, is, I think, not unbeatable. We could be playing against something much worse, I think. It's at Libitum, and the Lubellion resolves. For Mirror Jade. Okay. We instantly go Mirror Jade effect. I think we'll honestly just compulse this. Probably miss something, right? Grave banished. Yeah, sadly. Sadly, the Mirror Jade resolves. It is what it is. Oh. I'm sorry, dude. No worries, mate. Yo, open poly. Makes Chimera? Go off, King. Do it. Not directly. Not directly God. It's not directly God. Okay, he makes a Masquerade here. Triggers the, I think it was ad libitum for the Luba. Okay, we're staring down Masquerade Aluba with a potential branded in red. Let's see what we find off the top. We can definitely use the Leaf Place. Put that on the board. Main one. So that face down is definitely branded in red. If he grabs Fusion here, there is no way that is not branded in red. We can summon the Dimensional Conjurer. Trigger the effect. Yeah, we pay the 6. I know, Keck. We've been here. We grab Dimension. I
think I should have summoned the leaf place an attack. That would have been so smart. Shinobi Insect doesn't do a whole lot. I don't want to crash Conjurer, but I guess we have to. Yeah, this is looking like an L. Have to crash Conjurer, try and trigger the Liberty at last. Flips Branded Exile. Fusion Summon. That's a quick effect fusion. Fusion Summon A by banishing fusion material listed on it from either field. Oh. That is not good. That is not good. That is, yeah, Chuckles. I am in danger. Remember when this really funny guy said Branded was beatable? Yeah, unlucky. Unlucky. It is what it is, but I guess we'll see. And pay. Yeah. Oh, that was great, honestly. Well, that first game really didn't go our way, and a lot of the following games continue to do so as well. I've picked out a couple here that I'll probably show you guys as replays that are probably a bit more interesting than me getting dunked on by Mirage. This, as you can see, is against Eldritch, the infamous set 5 deck. But now you're thinking, why are you showing an Eldritch game in this? Well, you know, I was like, okay, I can at least make Chevalier here and be funny, but, you know, of course he drew the skill drain because, you know, we're playing against Eldritch. But the fun part about this is not me getting skill drained. As you can see, we drew this creature swap here. So I'll go ahead and normal summon that Magician of Faith because I want to get this Hakero out of his rotation. Get another good chunk in with the Chevalier here. He goes for his Cursed Eldritch again and grabs a Conquistador, sends his Eldritch alongside that to the graveyard, sending my Magician's Circle, summoning the Eldritch back here. Runs over his Hakero to get that back into his rotation. We set the Magical Undertaker here, which I guess is like the next best set, even if we are under skill drain. But he just casually outs that with his second copy of Golden Dot that he drew. And from here on out, it is, yeah. It is only downhill from here, as you can probably tell. Something maybe a little more interesting to watch than Eldritch flipping a skill drain is this here. This is against Malfi, a incredibly fun deck that is also fairly, you know, inexpensive in how to pick it up, in you know, picking that up, because a lot of the cards are commons and have been reprinted. And I think the most recent Megaton, or I think the previous one, I think. Will hit him with a very simple normal summon frequency Magician set 1 pass. He also plays a small Verniself engine, which is very cool, I do have to say. Turning on our Leaf plays here, and we can just put on the board. He will summon out a Kalantosa. Use that Kalantosa to pop one of our cards. The Frequency Magician here will be the one to fall, but we do have the Dimension Conjurer up here, which is pretty damn sizable compared to those Malfis. So, you know, he will stir in contest here. Reduce our attack, we'll go Magician's Circle for an Apprentice Magician. Probably not like do a whole lot here, as, you know, the Malfi's staring contest does reduce our attack. We flip the Dimension here to get Endymion onto the board, pop Kalantosa, so he does bounce less cards than he would usually be able to. Get the, you know, Dimension Conjurer in here, and the moment he discards Fractal is the moment where I'm like, I kinda, you know, survived the alpha, and if he, you know, has to like run into Apprentice, we're kinda good on the follow-up. But yeah, discarding Fractal for a charade is quite unfortunate, as you could say. Yep, summons back a bunch of Malfis in the end phase here to, you know, get him some advantage on the follow-up. Leaf plays. back at it again, summoning out of the hand. I think that is such a neat card, honestly. And like, I think that worked pretty well. Maybe we'll consider that for future episodes as well. I think it's just kind of neat to have that body each turn to work with. Goes ahead, triggers the Callan Toaster here, pops it. I'll set a Magician of Faith and a compulsory evacuation device, praying for the best. Adding back the magical dimension here, flipping compulse, bouncing back the Shurake. And yeah, from here we are almost out. Even with, you know, the limited amounts of pressure that Malfi is able to apply, it's just, you know, it's enough, you know, it's just enough. And he gets another material under his Malfi Mummy, which will result in a pretty funny end to this game, because he will literally burn me to death with that effect, as he will trigger the effect again, put a 5th material under it, and even if I flip the Imprudent Intrusion here, will burn me for game. But I think we also got to look at some of the positives, and if anything does not fail to disappoint us in the content department, it is DM era Legacy Archetypes. This is from a match I actually played against Blue Eyes, funnily enough. He hits me with the iconic Link Karibo pass, which I can easily dismantle by normal summoning a Dimension Conjurer, activating Magical Dimension, tributing that Dimension Conjurer, slapping down Big Endymion, and punching him for 2700. He will proceed to set a stone, pass back to me. Not really a whole lot to do here, despite basically, yeah, clean up Doni. I don't run into it because I am expecting a stone, which he of course can just tribute off with the Linkuriboh, getting a Blue Eyes, a Spirit of White onto his field. Running into Apprentice Magician, getting rid of that. Tributing both off for Solid Dragon for whatever reason. I flip the Undertaker here on the follow-up. Get back my Apprentice Magician. He Solid Dragon tags out into Blue Eyes. But unfortunately for him, I can just overlay into Onibimaru Soul Sweeper, banish that Blue Eyes for a turn, normal summon GX Ally Birdman, and punch in for game. Which means we did indeed take a game with the bulk only deck. Given, you know, the fact that this was against a, you know, Blue Eyes. But I think I have another one in store for you guys that will probably be a bit more entertaining. Oh, and this one's a real funny one. For, you know, this might be a funny for the people out of you guys that do follow the progression series I am kind of doing with Dunder, with Jaden. We're playing against Gladiator Beasts, and if, you know, any one of you guys knows me, that I have a pretty good record against this deck, and I will continue to do so even here. Ash is my Foolish Burial. I don't really mind that. I put down the Necrofleur, maybe hoping that he pops that with a card effect. He, you know, goes off into his Glad Beast place, runs into it with the Apollosa. I live it here at last, half his board, and he scoops. He just scoops! Not really a win, but with our opponent conceding, I think we can count that one. But I think I'll see you guys again with the deck, and then we can maybe recap a bit what happened this episode. Well, what is there to be said that isn't already painfully obvious? While I think the deck definitely has some cool interactions, I think especially Dimension Conjurer and Magical Dimension really shined, as those two form a very good, just like a removal engine that gets you access to a very good removal piece in Magical Dimension, and also lets you kind of mulligan your hand into a point where you're maybe in a bit better spot on the follow-up. But yeah, it sadly isn't 2005 anymore, and Apprentice Magician isn't nearly as relevant as I would like her to be, which really doesn't do the deck any better. Also, I think I definitely could have picked a more concise direction for the deck. The deck is a lot over the place. It's running a few one-off pieces, you know, like the Frequency Magician, the Necrofleur, and also the Quick Draw Synchrons. That just really don't add as much to the deck as I would like them to do. But yeah, it did work 2 times, which is kind of cool, even if those 2 times are of course a bit skewed by Blue Eyes bricking and Gladiator Beasts not putting up a piece of interaction that deals with Liberty at last. Overall, I think this honestly was an absolute blast. Playing something just made out of random stuff I found in the boxes I have where I store all my stuff. But, with those thoughts on the deck out of the way, leave your thoughts on the series down below, because I'm really interested to hear what you guys will have to say about, the formatting, how I'm editing these videos, and also about the series as a whole, and maybe if you have any ideas for improvement. As like the intro kind of, alert to, I will be marking those 2 wins for now. If you want to give me those 2 wins, or if you say, well, it should at least be a game where Yu-Gi-Oh! Was played and not one has bricked and one lost to Liberty at last. To maybe, use those 2 wins as kind of jokers to pick out 2 cards from the binder or, from a fancier place to maybe add to the deck for a follow-up episode. But if you guys are content with me playing something absolutely janky and going 13-2 every week, I'll gladly do that, because as mentioned, this was an absolute blast. I think there were a lot of cool cards in this deck that maybe we'll see in a future episode again. But with that all out of the way, I'll thank you guys very much for watching. Leave your thoughts down in the comments below, and I'll see you maybe in another episode. But until then, goodbye.